we're going to make a quick video today on how to put casing on a door or a window. So we have a basic threshold here coming into the main bathroom. And what we want to do is we want to put some new trim up. So I have a basic technique that I use. It pretty much works every time. It's really easy to do, and all I need is a saw and a pencil. And I already removed the old casing, and so now I've got some new casing that I want to put up. And what I start with is the two vertical pieces. So I got the left side and the right side vertical pieces. These are just cut straight across, and I want to get my angles on these. So my technique is that I do exact 45s on both of the vertical pieces, and then on my cross piece, I can manipulate the angle slightly to get everything to fit perfectly, and then I can put everything in place. So to start with, I want to see exactly how high I want my 45 degree to start. So the first thing I want to do is I want to set my vertical piece exactly where I want it on the door, here. And then what I want to do is, your casing always comes about a 1/4 inch in from the jamb here. So right here is the line at which the piece of casing is going to come in. And so I just want to come across right on the casing right there, and I want to make my line at that 1/4 inch mark. And then we know that this is where the 45 is going to be. So I'm going to take this down to the saw. I'll cut my 45 here, and it should end right here. And we'll do that on both sides, and then we'll move on to the next step. So I just cut some 45 degree angles on the two vertical pieces here, on these two verticals. And the tops of the bottom of the angle here aligns perfectly with our 1/4 inch mark all the way across. So now what I like to do is I just take some quick clamps and I clamp my casing in place. Exactly where I want it. Make sure it's all lined up correct. So I've got my casing in place here. And I've also got this piece here, which is our horizontal piece. Now you want to cut this at least a couple of inches long, and you want this also to be with the 45 degree angles. So starting off, all of your pieces, your two vertical pieces and your horizontal piece, all have 45s. And so from the 45, we can take it back a degree or two until we get exactly where we want it. So if you take a look up here, I'm going to line this up with exactly both my 45s, and we'll see how close we are to what we need. And what you can see is, with the two 45s, exactly there, it's actually coming down a little bit. So it starts exactly where we want it here, but it ends a little bit low there. Now that, with tolerance, this might work, but what we want to do then, in order to bring this back up a little, is we're going to want to take some of the top off. So what we do is, we just take this angle back to make sure we get a little more off this end. So I'm going to take this down to the saw again, and I'm going to just adjust my angle, and on this one it's probably just going to be about a 1/2 or 1/4 degree. So I can just take that angle back a little bit, we'll bring it back up and match it up and see how it looks. So I just did one more cut here, so I took this back about a 1/4 degree off the top here to see if we can get this lined up exactly how we want it. Now you have a little more tolerance when you're doing paintable trim like this, but if you were to do stained wood, you'd really want to get perfect angles. So now we can line this up here and see what we got. And as you can see, coming across here, we're exactly where we want to be over on this side. So if you can see right here, this is exactly where we want it. So we have our correct angle over on the left side, and then we have it exactly where we want it here. Now what I want to do is, I want to get this angle here correct. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to pull this piece down. I'm going to pull my clamps off this side, set set it aside. And now I'm going to do the same thing with the right side. So, starting from the bottom here, I'm going to get everything lined up, clamp it in place, exactly where we want it. And then we'll clamp the top. Alright, that's about where we want it. So now I'm going to grab this same piece. So we know our right side, this angle is exactly where we want it. So now what we want to do is we want to get our saw set up with the perfect angle for this side. So we'll line this one up. So this is why you don't nail either side in yet, because we want this to be able to hang over on that side so we can set this up. So actually, if you look at this, whoever framed this door did it pretty well, because if you see here, we have a 45 here, and since I think this is a little higher here, it looks like we're lining up perfectly here with our 45 already. Now, if this wasn't already perfect with 45, then what we'd want to do is we would do the same thing we did on the other side. We either take a little off the top or the bottom to get this angle correct, but it looks like everything's lining up exactly where we want it. So this angle is perfect as well. So we know that this is a perfect 45, so we can set our saw to that 45, and then we just need to get this piece cut to length. So let's say that wasn't the case. What we'd want to do is we'd adjust this angle, we put that on our saw, get it locked in place, cut it, come up here and measure it again. Once we got it exactly where we want it, then we'll use that same angle on the saw to cut our final cut to get it to length. So what we can do is we're going to have to put that other side back up quick. So we'll pull this off. Put this side back on. And so now we'll mark it for length. So over on this side here, so we got that exactly where we want it. Over on this side here, we see our 1/4 inch markings here. So our trim on that side is going to come right here. So we just mark this right here. That's where we want our length to be, and then we have our 45 there. So we'll go down, get our 45 on our saw, chop that right there, and everything should fit in place. So I've cut my piece to length here. I got my 45 here, which worked out for us, and I got it exactly at the length that we marked out. So sometimes if you're a little uncertain about it, cut it just 1/16 of an inch a little long, come up, fit it in, see if you still need that 1/16 off, and then you can always take that extra 1/16 off and fit it in. So we line it up over on the left side here, and then we're going to come across and see how we match up, and that looks like exactly how we want it. So everything's matching up exactly how we want. So what I want to do now is I'm going to actually tack this piece on the left over here. I'm going to tack this in place with my brad nailer, and then we can come in and tack these two pieces in place. Just to get us started, just throw a couple brads in, and then what I want to do is I want to align this horizontal piece and our right side vertical piece, and we can so over here, just throw a brad in there. Now that we got this angle exactly where we want it, I'm just gonna throw a brad in here. And then we can stick a brad in our vertical piece here. See if that's where we want it. And we'll get one in the bottom. This is exactly where we want it too. So everything's kind of tapped in place. We can kind of work these angles back in, put some brads through the sides. You can always put some wood glue in there as well if you want, but this is an easy way to just kind of intuitively work with your angles. You only need maybe 2 cuts to get exactly what you want on the trim. So this is a method I like to use. I use other methods as well. There's many different ways to frame in or case in a window or a door. But this is something that's really quick, and if you don't have any tools, you don't have a protractor, this is a really easy approach to it. So hopefully that's useful.